Hey everyone, I'm Cameron, and this is Jaden.
Hello.
Today we're going to be doing a video just about a week in cubing. So this was supposed to be filmed last week, but I decided to go out on vacation for the first time in however many months, and then I come back super sick with the flu. So here we are, doing it now.
All right.
So what's new in cubing while I've been gone?
Well, there's been a couple of new world records. So Pyraminx average was just broken by Ezra Shear. It's a 1.45 average, so he dropped it by, I believe, 0.1.
That's crazy. It's crazy how fast these records are getting at this point, because I feel like, like some of these events, like 2x2, for example, it's like, at one point, I don't know. I don't know how lucky the scramble could be, or
right.
How much better the hardware could be.
Because they have like the certain move count you have to hit. Like 2x2s, it has to be at least 4 moves for it to be like an official solve, essentially. So if you get a 3 mover, it doesn't count. So like I guess the question is like, what's the human limit for executing 4 moves? You know. And can someone do that in a competition with nerves? Yeah,
I mean, I feel like that the hardware is also really good at this point.
Yeah, 2x2 I feel is like I feel like we're closing in almost on like perfection for 2x2, because there's only so much you can do from here.
Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking is like, at one point, I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be room I was gonna say like, it seems like we're closing on perfection, but then again, I thought that way when we had the Diane Zanchi.
Right, yeah.
So it's, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But so with the Pyraminx world record, and wasn't there a blindfold world record too?
There was 2 of them. So there was Charlie Eggins, who broke the 3-blind single world record. It's a 12, got my notes here, a 12.1. And that was, I believe, at Oceanics Championships. And absolutely crazy, because I mean he's young.
Yeah, Charlie is awesome. That's once again, I just go back to my old days of like, I mean the world record was 12 seconds for 3x3 speed solve. Right. Which I mean I guess at one point, like of course, like all records start somewhere, but I feel like with like running, for example, I mean I'm not at all up to date on my marathon or Olympic records, but like let's just say like for example, some world record for some event for running was like 20 seconds. Like the humans can naturally already run pretty quick without a lot of training. So I feel like the baseline is like a lot lower for running. Whereas with cubing, wait, am I getting this all backwards? With cubing, like the hardware and the methods back then, you could be really fast at cubing and be like maxing out your hardware, maxing out your method. Right. At my point, you're maxing out your resources is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And so like it's crazy that back then I think it was like 12.6 something from Tyson Mao, and now we're doing blindfold records.
Right.
And that and less than that time.
Right. So like essentially just being like at peak performance. For let's say running and cubing, you could be at peak performance, but I feel like running essentially had better hardware a lot earlier on. Because, I mean, it is, for the most part, I mean, there is, like, new training methods and stuff, but primarily, like, a lot of people think shoes, essentially. Like, there's only so much you can do with shoes, but with cubing hardware back in the day, there was a lot of improvements to be made. I mean, if you take a look at, like, the DIY kits and stuff versus, literally any flagship cube of today, there's a huge difference. We have magnets, most of the time adjustable. We have maglev. We can change the tension settings and the spring compression at the same time. There's all sorts of new features. And, I mean, like, I didn't even think, like, when we first got magnets in cubes, I thought, oh, this is it. We peaked. Like, there is nowhere going up from here. And then we ended up getting adjustable magnets. We have dual adjustments and all that.
Well, it's funny, too, because I believe it was Moyu was the first company to put magnets into a Scube.
Okay. Oh, instead of ball bearings, right?
And it's funny how, like, that was good, but it wasn't really, like, revolutionary.
Right.
But then when Chris put the magnets into a 3x3, which I guess just no one really thought.
Right.
Because, like, the Scube had the ball bearing system already, so the magnets kind of replaced that. But the 3x3s never had a ball bearing system. Right. So no one really thought, I guess, that, we need to put magnets into a cube. But it makes sense. It's such like, in a way, it's such a simple concept.
Right.
That just like someone just had to do it, I guess. Right. But yeah, it is crazy how, I mean, first black plastic cubes with stickers were like phasing out. Right. We actually did a video on that. Stats that talk about the sales numbers of black plastic and circular. So if you could throw that on screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can check that out. And then now it's the non-magnetic cubes. Like if you're a cubing manufacturer and you're making a product that's meant to be like a flagship, let's just say 2 through 7, and it's not magnetic, like why even make it? Right.
Especially if you're trying to sell it as maybe not necessarily a flagship, but it could be like a budget option. Because like, I mean, a perfect example, and I feel like this is what everyone kind of leans back onto, is the RS3M 2020. It is a budget cube, you know, it's less than $10, and it has a dual adjustment system. It's got magnets, the performance is incredible. So if you don't hit that baseline, there's essentially no reason to get that cube. You might as well just get the RS3M 2020. And I feel like that can apply for some other cubes like 2x2s. Like the MGC is $10. I still use that one. I got it the day it came out. I'm still using the same one. And
well, speaking of the RS3M 2020, it's crazy how people just won't let go of that cube.
Yeah.
Like, meaning, I think it had so much hype and publicity around it over the years that even though the RS3M V5, which we'll talk about a little bit later, even I think the non-dual adjustment one, which is the same price as the RS3M 2020, I think it's out of box versus out of the box. I think it's a better cube.
I think so too. From what I've tried out.
That's the only one I've tried out of the 5.
Right, and we haven't even set them up yet.
Yeah.
So we don't even know what that's going to be like.
So yeah, it's interesting with the hardware, I guess. But speaking of cubes and stuff, it's my favorite time of the year, Halloween.
Yes.
And this has been easily the least Halloween I think in my life. So generally, like Veronica and I, 2 years, so like before we moved to Las Vegas, we would like end of August have like our Halloween decorations up, and we have like these big 12-foot skeletons and stuff from Home Depot. And like we were always like the pests in the neighborhood, where like the neighbors would be like, man, now we get to stare at this for 2 full months.
Right.
But yeah, when we first moved, it was hard because we were in a temporary living situation. So we didn't really do much last year. But we did like a few like little indoor, like we have like a Halloween town as well that we like to do and that we collect.
Okay.
But then this year, it's just been weird. Like 2023 has been a very weird year. Arguably a bad year compared to like the last 5 to 10 years. It's been like probably one of the worst years in the last decade of my life. And I mean, I just think back to like, it's a lot of micro things adding up.
Right.
But like, I mean, some big things like the warehouse flood, that's just, I mean, that feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah. But the point being that, yeah, it's just been a weird year. And like before we knew it, September came and we didn't do anything. And then October came and we had last minute plans. We actually went to the Power Trip concert. So her parents are like big concert people now in their retirement, and they had a spare ticket. And so I tagged along and we did that, which consumed like a week of the start of October. And then, of course, being at a festival with 80,000 people, we all got really sick. Right. Luckily, it wasn't COVID, but it was a pretty nasty flu that I'm like just now pretty much over. But yeah, it's just been a weird year, and we just don't really have like, we're in a new living situation again. It's just like a lot of weird stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of sad, but at least we have the Halloween cube, which I say this every year, all the time, but it's like I always stress out, like, how are we going to make something that's good and cool and like worth purchasing?
Right. And new.
Yeah. And I have to give Elisa credit. She really I've just been like in a mental funk this year, and she knocked it out of the park with that design. Yeah. So it's like that cool, it's like the cool Reaper. We did the custom made cube, which lots of people always ask what the cube is. And it's like, it's literally just like a generic cube design that we have manufactured. It's not like a Guanlong, similar, but it's not like a cube.
Right. Very like cheap, basic design.
Yeah, it's good though. Yeah. Like, 'cause I know that in previous years, some people complained about like, we used to actually not get them lubricated from the factory.
Oh, okay.
Reason being that the jack-o'-lantern lubricant, which like it's sacrilege if you don't use that in your smoky cube.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like compromise the lubing mixings, even though I always preach that you should like wipe down the factory lubricant. I know that people just send it and like throw in like our lubricant when the cube is new, but I just decided to like alleviate some of the complaints. We just opted to get like the factory lube treatment, which
just makes it easier.
And that's not that bad, honestly. Like I had them use a specific kind of lubricant over there that's like a lot better, and I think next year I might just send them over jack-o'-lantern.
Okay, and just like pre-lube it with it?
Yeah. So that would be cool. Yeah. But it's just, I tried to send Lunar over a few years ago, and sending over large amounts of random liquid as far as the government is concerned to China did not end very well. So that was kind of a expensive loss.
Yeah. And speaking on just like Halloween being just weird this year, or just this year in general being weird, I think with the move, it put you in a mindset of just being like stressed out, and because you're just on top of everything, and those little minor things that, you know, slip between the cracks, I think is what we're dealing with now. And since they're minor things, it's almost like, oh, I can put it off till tomorrow or whatever. But each minor thing can build up, and then it's a big thing, and now we're all just trying to, you know, kind of catch back up on that. And I think that's why this year's kind of been a little bit funky, is just catching up on all those little things that seem like every once in a while it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, like we can push this back a little bit. And then you kind of realize it's like the further we push this back, the bigger of an issue it becomes. But I think we're catching up pretty well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that every year we feel like we're completely dialed in, and then the next year there's more stuff, there's new stuff to dial in. And I mean, luckily, like we have a really good staff situation that we have for a few years, so that's been like nice and stable. But it's just really tough. Like there's so much happening in the world, you know. It's just like, I don't know. There's just so many wild cards at play, and everybody has their own kind of like issues to deal with. So I've been finding myself having to pick up everybody's slack. Like I told you, how every morning I spend about 2 hours of my morning going through everybody's like to-do list, essentially, and making sure that everything is getting done how it needs to, and that, because you know, like it's weird that everyone's kind of like built differently, thinks differently, and I mean, there's just things that are like super, like I'm really good about always updating task statuses, for example, but that's not everybody's strong suit. So like,
I mean, even me, you know, but I am relatively new to it, though it's not like the, you know, the greatest excuse in the world. But like, you know, just updating statuses, you know, the first, like pretty much the whole first year I worked here, I worked primarily just setting up the custom cubes. So to switch over to doing pretty much an entirely different thing, like helping out with the social media, doing the YouTube videos and the shorts, and actually having to update tasks myself instead of, you know, knowing that's going to get done. Yeah. You know, it's been a change. Obviously, I'm better at it, a lot better at it now. But, you know, just those like little things, again, like not everyone's built the same way. So the way they operate and think that things should go, you know, they do things a little bit differently. But I mean, there's a reason we have certain things set in place, is because we know it works. And like, let's see, like when we pick showroom items, when we grab those for the customers when they purchase, we have a certain way of doing it, and we kind of fell out of doing it that way, and it kind of caused some issues. And that was primarily because the way we function was like, oh, it's just easier, quicker this way. Yeah. But again, we have certain ways of doing things because it negates those issues, and we can avoid them.
I think that's the toughest thing, is that I think part of being like a good leader or manager is how you handle people. And so I try to be patient and everything. I think I have a good track record of doing that. Yeah. But it's also like, I'm super open to feedback from anybody on any topic. Right. But like 9 times out of 10, I've been doing this. People don't realize I've been doing this since 2009. Yeah. So it's like, I'm always learning, don't get me wrong, but I have dialed in a lot of this stuff to where it's like, look, I appreciate your insight, but I've been there, done that, and here's why we do it this way. Right. And most people receive it very well, but like I've had people that have worked for us in the past that just cannot it hurts me to like always. And there was one person in particular who was super excited to give me all these ideas and everything, and I just was constantly having to tell them no,
right,
in like a polite way,
right. And it wasn't in the sense that it was like, no, I just don't want to do it. It's just that there was reasons that you weren't doing it because you've already either tried this or someone else has tried it, and you've figured out that it's not the best way of doing it.
Yeah, and like I even at one point, one of their suggestions was something showroom related that was like relatively low risk that I kind of knew it wasn't gonna work, but just for the sake of letting them have their moment, I was like, we'll try it. And It didn't work out. And at least they kind of got to see, okay, that's why we do it this way.
Right.
But you can only do that with so many things when you're running a business that that hundreds of thousands of people around the world depend on and and expect a certain level of service. And so it's just really interesting. I guess I still have a hard time. Like, I just always wonder, like, with this whole cubing thing, I never thought I would be 28, 29 in February, which is so crazy to say. But like, I never thought I'd be sitting here in this building with all these people like that I'm solely responsible for. Like at the end of the day, everybody has to get paid. I'm the last in line. But the catch is, now that I'm almost 29, have my own adult responsibilities, I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like I can't run the I'm just investing back into the business card for too long. So that's been a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I mean, again, I guess kind of bringing back to the Halloween stuff, that was an interesting tangent. But yeah, we're doing that all blowout period for that. So if you want to get any of that, it's all available. Links down below. We have the perfect bundle, which is the best value that I recommend. You get the mat, you get your 4 cube bags, cube stand, get the cube itself, and then the lube. And the new thing that we did this year is I gave the option to pick the lubricant bottle size. Okay. It defaults to 5 mils, but then you can pick the 10 or 15. Because I realized like some people might want that flexibility. Yeah. So
I know a lot of people, especially in our Discord, they usually ask for the seasonal lubricants because, you know, they're pretty good. Like, people really enjoy using them. They work really well with a lot of cubes. And what will happen is they use it in a lot of their cubes and they run out since it's only the 5 mil size. Yeah. And so we'll get people who ask, you know, throughout the year, and they'll say, you know, is there any way I can just buy some extra in the off season? And I think with the option of having different sizes, if they choose the 15 mil, it'll last a lot longer and maybe hopefully last till, you know, the next Halloween season.
I feel like people also, because there's also the opposite where people like will buy a small bottle and it lasts them to the next year, which I think that some people do not lubricate their cube enough. And what's interesting about it is that their cube doesn't feel bad, but if they would just wipe it down and apply a little bit more, it would feel so much better. Right. And it's interesting how like there's been people in person at competitions that like we talked about this and I'm like, well, here, can we just, even because like Lunar is a good like refresher lubricant, even if you don't wipe down your cube like periodically, it does a good job of kind of like cleaning. I don't want to say cleaning, but it works well even if your cube is like dirty by definition.
It's almost like revitalizing the cube. Just kind of bringing it back to life.
And they're oftentimes really surprised, like, wow, I've been using this cube and I didn't know how much better it could have been. Right. So that's why like I tend to recommend people like just lube your cube every 2 to 4 weeks, depending how much you're solving. Right. That way you have like a timeline and you don't have to use the same amount every single time. Like if you feel like you didn't cube as much the last month, just do half of it or whatever. But just something just to keep up with it, because I know hardware is just the biggest thing that people, it's so, I mean, some of these poor cubes that like we come across at competitions and stuff are just like, they're just beat. It's shocking to me. Yeah. But,
and we have our own competition coming up on the 28th, which as of recording this is in about 2 weeks. And I'm sure we'll probably see some cubes there that are going to need some revitalizing, and we'll be selling lubes there. So
yeah. So if anyone's interested, by the time you're watching this, it's October 28th, Las Vegas at the Orleans Casino. which is where we held the last one. And it's interesting now that we're kind of in the streak of doing WCA competitions.
Yeah.
So I sort of favor doing non-WCA prior.
Right.
Just reason being it's easier. Like as we saw with this one,
Right.
we kind of announced it way late as far as I'm concerned, which a lot of that is just because there's lots of hurdles you have to jump through.
A lot of like pretty big like technical difficulties, and it was like getting a venue, like especially in like anytime near a holiday or anything, or even just since we're in the Vegas area, we have most of the venues are like casinos and stuff, hotel casinos. So those are usually big hotspots. So they charge more, or someone else has already booked it for the dates you want. So it was such a hurdle getting over that. And I remember we called probably 2 or 3 times at first and pretty much just got shut down. And then we did like a last ditch effort and it like barely worked out.
Yeah, it was lucky because we only even got, like the first time at the Orleans, it was super easy to get a reservation.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it'd be an issue, but this time around, it was just, they're like booked into like 2024. And so we only got this because someone canceled. And so it was very last minute. And then the WCA has lots of things you have to deal with and lots of people to deal with. And that's the other thing is where like I'm a perfectionist, which is one of, we talked earlier about how people have they're built differently. One of my flaws is that I am a perfectionist, which works for me and against me. Right. But like it kills me because I have this complex where I feel like I have to do everything by myself for it to be done a certain way. And unfortunately, in this case, it's like when the competition website went live, I saw that the hyperlinks were wrong. Right. And they linked back to the Speed Cubing Summer, not the Vegas Cubing Fall.
Our previous one.
And it's just like things like that are just the simple things that are so easy to forget. But I think that it's those details that have allowed Speed Cube Shop to grow, because obviously it can't happen without support from you guys and everybody else. But I think that lots of people appreciate those details and it adds on to the experience. So that's I think why that's I think why people choose to shop with us, because we're consistent. Whereas like lots of other cube stores, I'm not going to say that they're all just bad because they're not us, but like they're very much like roller coasters. Like they have their seasons of like good, bad, okay, really bad,
and
really good.
We're pretty consistent.
And that's the thing is, it's like the way I look at running the business is that I don't care what time it is. Like if there's orders that need to go out by a certain deadline, I'm not above rolling up my sleeves and running out to the warehouse and doing what has to be done to get it out the door. Like it's just you have to do it. So,
and I feel like there's a lot of like behind the scene things that a lot of people don't understand that you do. Like not only is he running just, you know, the shop and, you know, all the people here, but like we have our Team SES members, we have people overseas that also work for us. We have, you know, our customer service team and all that. And again, he's the head of all of it. So he has to not only
that's why
be
I have gray hairs, man. I have I'm getting some like legit gray hairs. So, hopefully I'll keep my color.
So again, like not only is he running just the store in general, but we have a lot of these behind the scenes things that he's running. And again, with him being such a perfectionist and wanting things, you know, to run smoothly, you know, relinquishing some of that control, especially with me doing like videos, I imagine was probably on the harder side of things.
Yeah. And like, in that kind of like, so like, I guess to address my like little break from YouTube, I've taken more breaks this year than I wanted to, but it's just hard, man. Like running a YouTube channel that has the expectations that ours does now. It's like a full-time job. And it's just very difficult for me to do that and everything else I need to do. And they're all important, YouTube included. So it's like, how do you divvy up your time? But that's where it's like, you know, it was nice to be able to kind of give you the reins for a while, and now we can do this like this back and forth or joint thing. But it's just tough, and delegation's hard. And it's like we were even talking earlier about the Hulu thing. So it's funny how like on Hulu right now they have something called Huluween, which is, as you can imagine, their curation of Halloween movies, and they divide them in the categories of scary, very scary, very, very scary, which it might sound like a joke, but it's actually, I think, somewhat important because, like, if you're like a weenie baby and you don't want to watch a very, very scary movie, it's important that they're categorized correctly.
Right.
And you can kind of ease into it or whatever. And so, like, I noticed that on each poster for each category,
right,
they had little thumbnails of each movie that was contained. And, like, Chapter 2 was on very, very scary. And I'm like, I watched that. And it was scary, but, like, I got through it without nightmares. So, like, maybe I can handle that category. But I noticed Annabelle was in the very, very scary thing, like the thumbnail. But then I clicked on scary. It was also in the scary category. Right. And then we were just going through comedies. And then this other, it was called like Fear something, which definitely was not a comedy, was in the comedy section. And then I told you that Happy Time Murders, which is like that Muppets movie parody, which is not a children's movie.
No, not at all.
That was in the kids section. And I'm like, delegation. You know, it's like someone is going to probably lose their job over that. Right. Maybe not. But like, that's not going to be good for a parent who puts that on and like first 5 minutes, I think one of them gets like shot in the head. Spoiler alert. But
so it's essentially just being like, you know, to trust someone else to do things right, you know, and
it's hard.
Any mistakes, you know,
they're gonna happen. Right. Like they're going to happen. It's just trying. Like the goal for me is to try to eliminate the chances of a mistake happening. Right. And then when they do happen, the fallout is gonna be as minimal as possible.
Right. And hopefully, I mean, you guys will know. Hopefully, I haven't made any like drastic mistakes on any videos that I've done. I know there's been a few, for sure, but you know, I don't think anything that's been like, you know.
Well, videos are stressful, crazy. And that's another thing is why I need like the mental vacation from doing the reviews. Is that you have to make sure the information's correct. Yeah. And it doesn't sound that difficult, but like if you speak out of turn, you say something that's wrong. Right. Or even if your opinion is wrong, right? You will like people come for you, and it's just like people look to me specifically with an expectation, and it's just it's a lot of mental stress. Yeah. So
and getting things wrong. Like we had I believe it was the GAN 14 video. Yeah, it was a GAN 14 video, and I was talking about the magnet rods. And the reason I had this all like mixed up in my head was because we also had the GAN 12 UI that was in, and I was looking at the GAN 12 UI like little kind of adjustment pamphlet, and it didn't say like which rods were stronger. And so I guess for me also trying to script the GAN 14 video, I kind of got it confused and thought the GAN 14 pamphlet didn't say which ones were stronger. So I went based off of the magnet feel, and I ended up being wrong. I believe I said the blue rods were stronger when they were weaker. Yeah. And it's one of those things where, you know, it's really stressful trying to make sure that you don't get similar products mixed up. You make sure that each product, all of the information is correct when you're saying it. And then a big part of it is, you know, just bringing everything you need, just bringing it all into the video room and making sure you have it all.
It's a hassle.
Because I remember there's been a couple of times where I've started recording and been like, oh, I totally forgot this. I had to stop recording or start over and grab it.
That's the other thing is like having a dedicated studio room is amazing. I love it. But it also, recording videos has become a process. Yeah. It used to be setting up my Canon T3i, didn't even have autofocus when I was recording video. And I would just set that thing up on a tripod, talk, upload. That's it.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've looked at some of the old SpeedCube Shop like reviews and stuff. Like there's one I think you're just in your house, it's like Christmas time, and all you have is just like a white table, your camera's just kind of set up at an angle.
Yeah, most of them are on the Camkeeper channel, which... yeah, most of them are on there, but yeah, like the SpeedCube Shop ones, I used to just not even talk because I like had this whole idea that like it would just be distracting and people don't want to hear me and just like they just want to see the cube and hear it. Right. But that was kind of dumb. So
we've moved on. We've learned.
Yeah, yeah. But speaking of moving on, I think we need to move on from this episode, because we are going to get locked out of the office here pretty soon.
Let's see. Let's speed run some of the new cubes that have come in. So,
should we? All right. Okay. We'll touch on.
We'll touch on some of the
there's so many topics. Let's just save it for the next one. We'll save it for the next episode. It'll still be relevant. We'll record this week. Get this one uploaded. I think we can one take this. I think this is a one takeable.
I think so.
So we can just upload this.
Right.
And we'll call it good. So that'll be interesting. Like, we have the Speed Keep Shop podcast. I don't really know if that's what this is, but I'm curious if you guys like this sort of content. I personally love just listening to people talk in the background when I'm at the gym or even just working. Like,
just essentially kind of like a white noise, but educational, essentially.
Interesting too. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this different kind of video. It's I look forward to doing more of them and just talking about kind of what's new. That's the thing, is I feel like I want to be careful, because with the channel, you don't want to, like, I'd rather not make a new channel for this kind of content,
right.
But I also don't want to keep shoving it in the faces of our subscribers if they don't want to watch it.
Right. Well,
so it's tough. So we'll upload it.
See how it does.
See how it goes. Let us know if you like it, you don't like it. Should have been a separate channel. If you made it this far, that's awesome. You could use a discount code YouTube at speedcubeshop.com. Pick up that Halloween bundle. And there's some new products that we'll be covering in the next episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for hanging out with us while we got to chat. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. And then one last thing. The second blindfolded world record, which we totally forgot to touch on.
Oh, yeah.
Stanley Chappell, 5 blind single, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Absolutely crazy. It just happened, I believe, a few days ago as we're recording this. And fun fact, if you can solve a 5x5 blindfolded in 30 minutes or less, you're automatically top 100. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I want to get that in there.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
All right.